Chapter 8. Truth or Dare. Allie caught Percy staring at her from across the pavilion where they ate breakfast. They hadn't talked since the day before in the woods. She wasn't looking forward to that conversation. After the meal, Annabeth spotted Allie walking away towards the woods. She grabbed Percy's wrist and dragged the unwilling son beside him towards her. Allie pretended not to see them and kept on towards the trees. If she could get out of sight, she'd be safe. Unfortunately, Annabeth caught up. "Hey, Allie!" Allie took a deep breath and forced a smile, pausing to let them catch up. "Morning." She focused on Annabeth, trying not to meet Percy's gaze. "I guess you two will be out to finish your quest soon." "Yeah," Annabeth confirmed. "We have to pick up Rachel first, though." She said the name with a bit of distaste. Allie nodded, her gaze wandering to Percy, who was staring at the ground and bobbing up and down on the balls of his feet. She sucked in a long breath. "Can we talk?" His head snapped up and he locked eyes with her. Sure." Allie looked at Annabeth and nodded. The daughter of Athena returned the gesture, walking off towards her cabin. Allie led Percy down to the docks. She pulled off her hiking boots and lowered herself onto the rough boards of the dock. Percy stood there awkwardly next to her, staring at the ugly, pale stripe that spiraled up her leg. She traced the scar with her fingertips. "You're not still blaming yourself, are you?" He sighed, turning his gaze into the water. "Maybe a little." Allie pulled her feet from the chill water and stood, caressing Percy's cheek to make him look at her. "Well, stop." She stared sternly into his green eyes. "You're not responsible for any of this." She cleared her throat and pulled her hand away from his face. "So, what's your plan after you get Rachel?" Percy shrugged and sat down on the dock, his feet splashing into the water. "I don't know. Literally just at Alice's workshop." Ellie sighed and seated herself next to him, her right leg dangling in the water. "Well, whatever happens, I want to be there." "Whoa." He raised his hands to interrupt her. "You just got out of there. You barely survived. Why would you want to go back?" She bit her bottom lip and tentatively met his gaze. "I think you know." He opened his mouth to speak and closed it. Finally, he found the words. "I thought you said, I know." She studied the boards of the dock. "But that doesn't change the way I feel." He reached for her hand, but she pulled away. "I can't." She hugged her left leg close to her chest. "It won't end well. It never does." She looked away, out at the Long Island Sound. He hesitantly placed a hand on her shoulder. "Okay." She faced him in surprise. He smiled sheepishly. "I can respect your decision, but..." He pulled his hand away. "Can we still be friends?" Allie took a deep breath and smiled at him. "Of course, Waterboy." Allie stared at the golden girl standing frozen before them. "So, do we tip her over?" Percy glared at her, but Annabeth didn't look opposed. I chuckled. "I'm kidding." Percy didn't look convinced, but he dropped the conversation. He kept tapping his foot and drumming his fingers on his arm as they waited for Rachel to move. From a cafe across the street, a boy painted gold trotted over, holding a gold fedora in his hands. Rachel finally moved, hopping off her platform to trade places with the boy. "Come on, Jackson." She led them across the busy street into the cafe. Once they found a booth, Rachel went to the bathroom to clean the gold paint from her skin. She still had golden flecks stuck in her hair and dusting her skin when she finally reappeared. "What's up?" Her gaze settled on Allie, who was rubbing her scarred leg and staring at the wall. "Is she okay?" Allie blinked and met Rachel's curious, confused look. "Yes, I am." She took a deep breath. "We're headed to an unpleasant place." Rachel raised an eyebrow and faced Percy. "Care to explain?" Percy gave Rachel the rundown on what was going on with Luke and Kronos and the labyrinth. Allie only half listened, not wanting to relive all the painful details. She twisted a napkin until it ripped, then she took one half and kept twirling the paper square. Eventually, someone touched her shoulder. The others had gotten up. Annabeth smiled weakly. Ready? Allie took a long breath and slid out of the booth. Nope. Let's do it. They stared out the windows as Rachel's driver carried them through the streets of Manhattan. They scanned the buildings for any sign of an entrance to the labyrinth. Rachel leaned close to the driver and instructed him to bring them to a hotel. They piled out of the car and walked into the hotel. Rachel led them to the basement storeroom and pushed a bundle of mops out of the way. Carved on the cinder block wall was a Greek delta. Rachel touched the center mark, but nothing happened. She frowned. Annabeth nudged her aside. It needs to be a half-blood stitch. She caressed the mark and it glowed. A portion of the wall cracked free of the rest and swung inward, revealing a dark tunnel beyond. Allie couldn't see very far into the tunnel, but she could imagine the horrors that awaited them. In theory, Rachel would be able to navigate the maze for them. All they would have to do was follow the leader. She hoped it worked. She didn't want to get lost down there again. Percy squeezed her hand as if he could see into her mind with those deep green eyes. It'll work. I won't let you get stuck down there again. Allie nodded, gave his hand a quick squeeze, and slipped her hand free of his. After you. He smirked and turned towards the dark tunnel. Allie released the breath she'd been holding. Here we go again. She took a shaky step forward into the pitch-black corridor.